Hello friends, thank you for listening to Granny's GodPod 113, dealing with doubts. Amir Safati was talking recently about the parable of the 10 virgins with lamps. While waiting for the bridegroom, the lamps of 5 had run out of oil. He points out oil in the Bible is representative of the Holy Spirit. The 10 virgins all looked to be equal, but only 5 virgins had the wisdom of the Holy Spirit. When the bridegroom arrived, the 5 wise virgins entered the feast and the door was shut. Jesus says in Matthew 7:23, "Only those who do God's will enter the kingdom of heaven." How crushing it would be to hear Jesus say, "I never knew you." Do we doubt we are good enough? It is not how many times you went to church that counts, but acceptance of his word and obedience to it, living in that relationship every day of the week. But doubts do happen. For me, doubts arose over Church of England bishops who seem to advocate tolerance of cultural influences even when they conflict with church doctrine. That even causes me to wonder if they had the wisdom of the Holy Spirit in their decision to allow women clergy, a path I once considered myself. So I heard with interest Gary Habermas, an American theologian, discussing how to address doubts, particularly in Christians. He describes factual doubts, volitional or willful doubts, and emotional doubts. For the latter, Habermas posits an ABC acronym: actions, belief, consequences. Actions have consequences, A and C. But in between is B, belief, which is what we have to address to deal with the action. For example, if we are involved in an accident, there may well be physical consequences. Some will accept problems, some will strive to overcome problems. Some will learn to adapt to a changed future. The Apostle Paul gloried in his wounds as evidence of his suffering for Jesus, although I think that would be a bit difficult for most of us to achieve. In our ABC of actions, belief and consequences, there are good and bad beliefs, and our response to the bad ones makes a difference. For example, there is no point in anxiety that keeps you awake at night if there is nothing you can do about something. For example, if you have an important speech to make, worrying about it will not help. And we will be, God willing, still alive after we've given the speech. We cannot stop time. So if we are prepared, if we have made a plan, there is nothing more we can do. Though here, the Christian is able to leave the problem in the hands of the Lord. For a believing Christian, Habermas responds to a query about a potential contradiction in the Bible by continually asking, "Do you believe in the resurrection?" "Yes, but do you believe in the resurrection?" Until the questioner, not receiving the anticipated answer, realizes that queries and contradictions are ultimately irrelevant to the core question. I think the point of departure for many people is starting in Genesis, finding it hard going, and giving up. But really the Old Testament is not the best place to start. The essence of Christianity is whether there is truth in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If a person believes that, then really queries and contradictions are of no consequence, and neither are doubts. Habermas offers 6 facts within the first 6 years after the crucifixion to support the conditional argument: if Christ rose, then Christianity is true. Historians agree that Jesus existed, and no scholar denies his death by crucifixion. Habermas looks for early, eyewitness and multiple accounts, even reducing the 4 Gospels to only 2 accounts, taking Matthew, Mark and Luke as one and John the other. He starts with Jesus' post-resurrection appearances, first to many and then to James. Luke and John report Jesus appeared to the 11 and the others with them. Paul records Jesus appeared to his brother James, which led to him becoming a leader of the church in Jerusalem. Then there is the early preaching of the good news or gospel in the book of Acts that reached the Sanhedrin and led to Stephen's martyrdom, which Paul witnessed. Soon after that was Paul's conversion on the road to Damascus. Paul gives us an early creed in 1 Corinthians 15:3, saying he passed on what he had received before, that Christ died, was buried and rose again, as the scriptures had foretold. And being a conscientious scholar, Paul soon visited Peter and James, the brother of Jesus, to check they were teaching from the same page. Habermas's magnus opus is 4 books titled On the Resurrection, but despite, or because of, this huge study, he preaches the minimal 6 facts argument that Jesus rose from the dead, and so Christianity is true. We could ask, why would Jesus come to live among us knowing that he would be killed? Well, he knew his death would be temporary, but for us, Mosaic law only showed us right from wrong. It did not remove the disobedience we inherited from Adam. Jesus proved his love for us enough by taking our failures upon himself, so that, as Paul says in Romans 10:9-11, if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and are justified, and it is with your mouth that you confess and are saved. As Easter approaches, and we begin to truly appreciate that awful suffering on the cross, we cannot doubt that we are loved. By his grace we have everlasting life. Thanks be to God. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.